Regular, nutritious meals may become a challenge for people with dementia. As a person's cognitive function declines, the person may become overwhelmed with too many food choices, forget to eat, or have difficulty with eating utensils. Proper nutrition is important to keep the body strong and healthy.
When people with dementia are having problems getting enough nutrition, it would be important to kind of look at, what's happening with that person. Are there problems with enough food being available or someone there to provide the meals or to cue the person to eat? So you kind of have to look at the individual situation for that person and their caregiver, whoever's involved. But some examples of things to help people get more nutrition might be to leave easy to access and visible food in the person's environment so that they don't have to go looking for food, and maybe sometimes seeing a bowl of nuts or seeing a couple of muffins or some fruit on the counter might cue them, oh, I'm hungry, I could go and pick that up and eat it. So sometimes it's just a matter of putting food in the environment that's easily accessible for the person.
As the disease progresses, loss of appetite and weight loss may become concerns.
Towards the last about 5 months of his life, he was always hungry. He was losing weight incredibly, but he was always hungry, and he always was sort of a skinny person, very muscular but very skinny, and he could eat about 4 or 5 squares a day if you were to give him. I never put on weight, and I just looked at it and would put weight on. So I would make up all kinds of snacks for him, and to start with it was sandwiches, and I'd give him half a sandwich, and he'd take one bite and he said, boy, I'm full now, I can't eat another thing. And so it would go to waste, and I thought, well, there has to be ways around this. So I would make up smaller snacks with just probably some nuts and some fresh fruit and some yogurt, which he liked, and sometimes a bowl of ice cream, because I thought even though he had high cholesterol, it wasn't going to do him any harm at this stage, so he might as well enjoy the things he used to enjoy. And I used to put out a couple of squares of dark chocolate for him as well. He used to enjoy nibbling on that. And sometimes I would make a hamburger or a hot dog, which I know are no-nos when you've got cholesterol, but what the heck, he was enjoying them, and he did rather enjoy it. It got to a stage when I thought it was really odd. One day we were sitting down, I remember it quite clearly, having supper, and he didn't have much on his plate, and he pushed everything to one side, and he kept about 3/4 of the plate full, and nearly all the food was going to be flopping off and onto the table. And I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm making room for dessert. And I thought, oh, that was so sweet, because, he hadn't even started to eat his main course.
Be flexible to food preferences. Eat together. Make meals an enjoyable social event so everyone looks forward to the experience.
My dad was always a really, really big eater. And, I wouldn't say he struggled with weight, but his weight certainly went up and down throughout his life. But he was a real food enthusiast. So when the dementia and Alzheimer's really started to take over, he lost a tremendous amount of weight, and it didn't seem to me matter how much he ate, and he always seemed to be hungry. But we always ate a pretty good diet, so we just made sure that he was always eating and snacking. And in time, I think he has leveled out now. He's very trim. He's, very, very thin for what we're used to him being, but he still eats 3 meals a day and snacks in between meals and something before bed. So he is eating, and we just are really careful about what he does eat to make sure he's getting the proper nutrition.
Suggestions for nutrition in later stages of dementia that I often bring is I borrow from a theory of retrogenesis, which I learned from an expert, that basically says that the tastes and the ability to nourish oneself as the dementia progresses becomes simpler. And it's almost like rolling back the clock. And if we remember when we were younger, we liked fast food and easy food and finger food and this kind of thing. So my general advice to caregivers is, give the person with dementia what they want, what they like, as long as the calories are getting in there. And so it does require some adaptation in the household. Sometimes people will actually end up using supplements, and there's a number of good ones out there.
As they progress through dementia, we're going to have people who are mobile, who you may have to eat on the run. What foods did they like that we can still have in a sandwich, in a cup, finger foods, anything that they can manage when they can no longer manage cutlery. But I think we need to think about how we can adapt. And there's tons of resources and services that can help us figure out what they need at that point.
We discuss our meals every day, and we eat good food, and she will help do the cooking. If it's frozen food or a frozen cordon bleu, I let her do things that just go into the oven rather than preparing a whole meal, which is difficult following recipes. So I try to make sure that she has something to make, like peeling the potatoes, peeling the carrots, little chores to help me with the dinner.
It's really difficult when you have someone who has challenges with eating, providing enough nutrition. And there's so many facets of that. Like, do they want to eat? Do they no longer have a hunger cue that my belly hurts, I don't know what's wrong, I don't know I need to eat, I'm not going to ask you for dinner. So the caregiver needs to be able to plan ahead of time, thinking, okay, we always had our big meal at lunchtime, so let's have our big meal at lunchtime. Making the food look good, taste good, smell good. Do they want to eat? Do they feel hungry? Can they eat? You know, can they still chew? Can they still swallow? Having someone seen by an occupational therapist or a nutritionist to make sure that what they're actually eating is the best for them.